Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead.
Yes, sir, in the back.
Yep. Have you thought at any time about like alumni club for people who made the deals and finished the alumni?
No. There are some alumni things on Facebook. I have nothing to do with them. There are some alumni groups. The Viking Bitch, there's maybe 10 or 12 people. All have been successful. Now you met the Viking Bitch in Omaha. She had her cadre there with her. And she, in fact, she drove up from Texas in her van with 6 people, to Omaha when I gave that talk before the Berkshire Hathaway. But I don't sponsor any of them, to the extent I don't mind when the successful people get involved. But there's a gajillion wannabes that, that purport to be sponsored by me, but they're not. Because normally, unless you're very successful, you pass on bad habits, not good habits. That you say how fucking hard it is, blah, 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 bullshit.
Stupid questions.
Correct. Even more stupid than at the seminars. And again, kids, go back and listen to Josh's Kim 18-minute exit interview where we sat in this room. And after 3 years, of super success, he came back, celebrated his 21st birthday here. And he said 95% of all the things I worried about, as Mr. Peña said, didn't even happen to me.
It's 98%.
Okay, even 98, okay. They don't happen to you. Some of the questions, you kids, I forget, sitting next to you, I never heard of this shit in 50 fucking years. How is that possible? And because, the fear factor. As I told Brian Rose in 2014, just imagine, Brian, if you weren't afraid of anything. I mean, your opportunities are limitless. And we're all afraid of something. I'm not. But I mean, the only thing I was afraid of, when my mother used to say, Danny, if you don't do this for me, I'm going to have to get your dad involved. I mean, my asshole used to pucker up and go, oh, Mom, I apologize, Mom. Just explain it to me again. Exactly what do you want me to do? Because I was scared shitless of my dad. I was. I mean, and God forbid he comes back and my mother, and he didn't care if my mother embellished, whatever my mom, and whatever the nun said and whatever the priest said. Doesn't matter if it was accurate. I mean, I paid the price.
Have you talked with your dad about the CIA things? Or
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. No, he never talked to me about the people he whacked. But he was in the same city when Che Guevara got assassinated. He was in the same city when Martin Luther King got assassinated. He was in the same Dallas when John Kennedy got assassinated. And he was brought out of retirement, not to cover up, but that's what they say, the cover up the Robert Kennedy assassination.
We call it OGA now.
What? OGA? Meaning?
Better use the microphone. I want it.
Moaning what?
Other government agencies.
Yeah. And he was part of the 3-letter agencies, at least 2 of them. And he taught at Langley, the CIA school. I mean, he, And when I was involved in my attempt to overthrow Haitian government, my partners were the CIA, Mel DeMarcos, Manassas Group, and Mobil Oil, Talaveras, who was a school buddy, Costa Grazos. And when I told my dad I wanted to do this is my book, he said, you shouldn't do it. You're going to wind up getting killed, And then I went off to the Cobre International Terrorist School to fine-tune some of my skills that I had lost from my military, because I'd been out of the military 10, 12 years. And he said, but if you're going to do it, these are the 5 guys you need to be on your team. One was named Three-Finger Tony Ruiz. And these guys, Mike Williams, guy that his last official post was the head of the Rhodesian Cavalry. Rhodesia was on Bowie. He's on Time magazine cover with a black baby on a bayonet. I mean, these guys were hardcore motherfuckers. And exactly. So my dad says, but if you're going to do it, you got to contact these guys. So then my dad calls him and says, if something happens to my boy, you know what's going to happen to you. That means that you got to keep him alive, otherwise I'm going to kill you. So all these guys I met with, and they all says, your dad has asked to try to convince you not to do it. Okay, let's skip that shit because you're not going to convince me. Okay, but for my family, I'm going to try to convince you because there's a high probability we're going to wind up getting dead. I said, I'm not interested in that. So you want to help me? You don't. Or do you want me to go back to my dad and say, you don't want to help me? Oh, fuck no, we don't want that. So we put together about 240 mercenaries. These are fucking top-notch assassin killers. And the CIA pulled Secretary Vance, Cyrus Vance, pulled the plug, and they said there was too much collateral damage because we were going to kill at least 1 million people the first day. I bought a nuclear device from the French Foreign Legion. I mean, all this shit's for real. This really happened. And then the plug, and I might have been depressed that day when they pulled the plug on us. But I was still, in 1980, 81, 82, still trying to compete with my dad because, you know, I'd never done that. Now, my dad's happy as shit it never happened. I'm sad as shit it never happened. And you cannot hold a 50 caliber machine gun in one hand, like Schwarzenegger does in the movie. It's not fucking possible. You can't even hold a 30 caliber. Now, some of you that never hold a weapon, you know what I'm talking about. You can't hold those kind of weapons. You can't. But I mean, I was going to be on the first chopper in Port-au-Prince, and we were going to kill every motherfucker that walked. Yeah. No, not a 50 cal. I couldn't carry a 50 cal. I could carry a 30 cal in two hands, but I couldn't carry a 50. We were going to kill every motherfucker that walked.
You know the Hitler-Säge, which you pull up your shoulder and then...
Yeah. Okay, but my favorite weapon was the M79 rocket launcher. Was my favorite weapon. Now, guys, see, these aren't the goals and desires you had growing up. But my dad was just happy it never happened.
What's that coming?
Yeah.
I'm concerned about the rocket launchers.
Yeah. But these guys that I went to, Tony Ruiz, and they said, these various guys that were, I mean, these were professional guys. They said, you know, your dad's a bad fucker. Nobody wants to disappoint him. If you get hurt, Dad, even hurt, he's going to kill us all. This is before Sally's time.
Still happens.
Oh, absolutely still happens. And the world that you live in, the bubble wrap world that you live in, you see it in the James Bond movies, but that shit still really happens. Now, you know, I'm too long in the tooth. I don't think I'm too long in the tooth. But I mean, and I'm still not afraid.
Yeah, well, I think the most people don't understand when you talk about dealing with Sahata and the dragon evil Imelda Marcos, what it really
Oh, absolutely. Imelda was
I understand that, but most people don't understand.
I understand. She was but she's still alive. She was a hard, cold bitch. And when we used to go to dinner at the restaurant, and the mother would be there, and she never really acknowledged me. She'd look over at her table when we were in Manila, but I know she knew who the fuck I was. But I mean, this is a world, kids. You have no fucking idea, and that's part of Putin's world. I mean, and there's a lot of hard ass. Now they're not the James Bond like in the James Bond movie, but I mean these guys. Yeah. But I mean these guys and their gals, these assassins are for real. Guys, it's fun having money. I mean, I don't know how to tell you any different. It's just fun to have money. And Sally and I do a lot of great things. We do a lot of stuff for charities. We build, convents in Sri Lanka, which is a Muslim country, and my main squeeze, Assistant Superior Luce, is telling the Pope he should pray for me. That's magic. That's magic. I'm not sure, if God came down through the ceiling, I'd ask for ID. I would. I'm covering all not all, but almost all the rich guys turn to philanthropy at the end of their lives. There's a reason. Just in case they're covering the fucking bases. And I've been covering the bases for a long time. And most of you are too young to start covering the bases. But start thinking about that in your estate planning, which will let you draw down the money for estate planning. And guys, gals, although Sally and I derive a lot of joy when we see. Now, I said this on the internet. 18 years ago, when we first started supporting then Mother Teresa, now St. Teresa's main gig in Manila. There was a boy in there that had, Doc, what's it called when the brains blow up? Yes. Okay, his head was this big. He had a body this big. He had a body this big and the brain this big. That was 15, 18 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, I asked one of the sisters and Thelma, which is one of our head staff people in the Philippines. I couldn't go in and see him. I cry because they're so in bad state. And all the nuns and all the lay people say it's our honor to take care of them. 2 or 3 years ago, I sent an email. And the guy was supposed to die. He was 26 years old then. He was only supposed to live 2 or 3 years. His head's this big. Now he talks. He's going to school. After 30 years. So is that a miracle? I think so. I would have put him to sleep 25 years ago. I would have been in air. Now, he's 3rd, 4th, 5th grade education, and he talks. His fucking head's this big. So I'm not here to tell you there are miracles, but I do believe if I hadn't seen it with my own fucking eyes. So we get off on that. So I look at you quite similar to the guy with the big fucking head that did new shit that should have been put to sleep 25 years ago. In my opinion, should have been put to sleep. The nuns and the lay people say, no, it's our blessing to be able to take care of people. So separate that a little. I'm not trying to make it too dramatic, but I don't look at you in a dissimilar manner. Some of you that fucked up sabotaging activities most of your life, even though you may have a few bucks. But then you see the light, not that I'm any kind of religious light, but you see the light and then you become a gazillionaire and then you go on and so the only way that I am involved in saving the planet is vicariously through you. And I'm good with that. I'm better with it now after 29 years than I was 25 years ago. But you have the opportunity, not just to fulfill my desires, but you feel good. And if I feel good, well, I'm a hard ass. If I feel good when a kid that has a head like this winds up speaking after 30 years, I'm not sure how that affects you, but I've never met anybody, maybe 1 or 2 of you will take exception to this, that doesn't feel good about that. Now, some of you should have been put to sleep 25 years ago by definition, but you're not. You're still here, right? Okay? And then we've got the example of the Austrian bandit here who's gone down like some Rasputin to rape, pillage, and plunder the poor Swiss. But I don't, yeah, thank you. But guys, it's all up to you. You can do this shit, just as your brother has, just as I'm sure you will, there's a higher probability that he'll be successful because he's seen his brother the last 3 or 4 years. You know? I mean, it's there for the taking. It's there for the taking. And I expect all of you, and expectation is not a strategy, hope is not a strategy, prayer is not a strategy. But all those words are applicable because you can do it.
You can do it if you want.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And we're not going to tell you a sorry story from Honduras, but we know it, but I believe it. So, I mean, now she got super grades in classes I failed. Okay? When she was pre-med. Microbiology and all that shit, I did automatic get a fail, but I never went to class, never took the test, so I got an F. But it does my heart good to see anybody, and I'm not sure why only 3 gals have been here from CSUN, because it's not the Harvard of the West for sure. But I mean, you can do it. You can fucking just crush it. And the closer you are that I can pull you towards my end of the continuum, not alpha male, but the closer I can pull you, you become 5% of me and you're a billionaire. 5%. And if you become 5% of my communication skills, you're a multi-billionaire. Okay, kids, I'm going to bed. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good night. Sleep tight. Sal?